In a surprising twist of events in U.S. Foreign Policy, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has appointed former Senate staffer and consultant to replace the United States' top diplomat for Europe. This move, which comes amid a tumultuous geopolitical landscape, raises questions about the direction of American diplomacy as tensions continue to simmer in various global hotspots. Rubio, who has been a significant figure in shaping U.S. foreign policy, particularly regarding Russia and Ukraine, has faced criticism for this decision. The new appointment reflects a broader strategy that some critics argue might favor Moscow's interests over traditional allies in Europe. As one political analyst noted, this shift signals a potential pivot in the U.S. approach to European diplomacy, which could have lasting implications for transatlantic relations. In the realm of sports, the Rubio family has also made headlines for a more personal triumph. Anthony Rubio, the son of Senator Marco Rubio, made a notable debut as a walk-on running back for the Florida Gators during the Gasparilla Bowl, scoring a touchdown in the team's decisive victory over Tulane. His achievement, while occurring in the final moments of the game, was a significant milestone for the young athlete who had not seen playing time in the previous season. The Florida sideline erupted in celebration, showcasing the emotional weight of the moment for both Anthony and his family. His performance, with 6 carries for 32 yards, highlights a personal victory amidst his father's political endeavors. Meanwhile, in the geopolitical arena, the U.S. administration is reportedly pressuring Ukraine to accept a contentious peace plan that favors Russia. This proposal would see Ukraine cede territory gained by Russia during the ongoing conflict, a move that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has vehemently rejected. "There is nothing to talk about," Zelensky stated, emphasizing that such concessions violate Ukraine's constitution and sovereignty. This situation has sparked fierce debates within the U.S. regarding the ethical implications of negotiating terms that could undermine a nation's territorial integrity. President Trump, who has been vocal about the proposed peace plan, criticized Zelensky for being inflammatory in his response. His administration's approach has raised alarms among European allies who worry that the U.S. may be abandoning its commitment to Ukraine in favor of normalizing relations with Russia. Analysts suggest that this shift could have far-reaching consequences, potentially emboldening aggressor states and undermining international laws regarding territorial integrity. As the U.S. navigates these complex issues, the implications of both the diplomatic reshuffling and the contentious peace proposal remain uncertain. The appointment of a new top diplomat for Europe under Rubio's leadership may signal a shift in strategy, while the developments in Ukraine could redefine the landscape of U.S. foreign policy in Eastern Europe. Looking ahead, the international community will be closely monitoring how these decisions unfold and their potential impact on global alliances. As the situation evolves, the intersection of sports, personal accomplishments, and high-stakes diplomacy illustrates the multifaceted nature of leadership and the challenges faced by those in the public. In a surprising turn of events within the Pentagon, Joe Kasper, the controversial Chief of Staff to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, has departed from his position amid a backdrop of internal turmoil and allegations of misconduct. This unexpected exit follows an intense power struggle that led to the dismissal of 3 senior Pentagon officials, raising questions about the stability of Hegseth's leadership and the future trajectory of defense operations under his command. Kasper's departure comes despite Hegseth's recent assurances that Kasper would merely transition to a different role within the Department of Defense. However, in an interview with Politico, Kasper confirmed that he would instead return to a role in government relations and consulting, limiting his ties to the Pentagon while still handling special projects as a special government employee. A senior defense official stated Secretary Hegseth is thankful for Kasper's continued leadership and work to advance the America First agenda, referencing the protectionist policies championed by former President Donald Trump. The circumstances surrounding Kasper's exit are particularly troubling, as he was implicated in orchestrating a power grab that resulted in the termination of 3 senior Pentagon officials, Dan Caldwell, Darren Selnick, and Colin Carroll, during an investigation into leaks. Reports indicate that Kasper's management style was under scrutiny, with sources describing him as frequently late, disorganized, and exhibiting inappropriate behavior, including crude comments during high-level meetings. He lacked the focus and organizational skills needed to get things done, remarked an anonymous insider, shedding light on the internal dysfunction that has characterized Hegseth's tenure. Further complicating matters, allegations have surfaced that Hegseth himself compromised security protocols by installing an unsecured internet connection in his Pentagon office. This setup reportedly allowed him to use the Signal messaging app on a personal computer, raising significant concerns about the potential exposure of sensitive defense information to external threats. The existence of this dirty line has ignited discussions about cybersecurity and the risks posed to national security, particularly given the sensitive nature of communications within a facility designated for secure information. As the fallout from these controversies continues, Hegseth appears to be grappling with his own job security. Sources described his behavior as increasingly erratic and insecure, with reports of him berating staff and creating a tense work environment. This turmoil within the Pentagon has been exacerbated by Hegseth's response to media leaks regarding his actions, including a military briefing for tech entrepreneur Elon Musk. Frustrated by the leaks, Hegseth allegedly threatened senior officials with polygraphs to ascertain the source of the information. In an effort to stabilize his administration, Hegseth has made recent personnel changes, appointing 4 new senior advisors while leaving the chief of staff position unfilled. The Pentagon's acting press secretary characterized these adjustments as a regular feature of an efficient organization, emphasizing Hegseth's commitment to ensuring that the right personnel are in place to execute the administration's agenda. As the situation unfolds, it remains to be seen how these leadership changes will impact the Department of Defense's operations and its relationship with the White House. Hegseth's focus on maintaining a public image as a fighter for Trump's policies may be a double-edged sword as he navigates the treacherous waters of political loyalty and internal dissent. With the administration's first 100 days marred by controversy and chaos, the path forward for Hegseth and the Pentagon may hinge on his ability to restore order and regain confidence both within his department and among key stakeholders in the broader defense community. In an unexpected turn of events, NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers has seemingly exited the conversation surrounding a potential vice presidential candidacy under Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The brief affair, lasting only 3 days, has captured significant media attention, raising questions about the intersection of celebrity and politics, particularly in the context of Kennedy's controversial campaign. The saga began when reports emerged on Tuesday indicating that Rodgers was among the candidates being considered for Kennedy's running mate. Initially, this prospect appeared promising, especially given Rodgers' previous support for Kennedy and his public persona. However, the situation quickly unraveled. On Wednesday, in a conversation with reporters, Rodgers expressed beliefs regarding the Sandy Hook shooting that many deemed conspiratorial, referring to it as a government inside job. The backlash from this comment was swift, with critics expressing concern about his suitability as a candidate. By Thursday, Rodgers had attempted to clarify his stance via social media, labeling the shooting an absolute tragedy. By Friday, the momentum had shifted even further. Kennedy announced that he had selected attorney Nicole Shanahan as his vice presidential pick, effectively sidelining Rodgers. Media reports suggested that donor concerns about Rodgers' controversial views played a significant role in this decision. While Kennedy's campaign gained visibility during this period, it is unclear how serious the candidacy of Rodgers ever was. Regardless, the episode has drawn attention to the potential ramifications of celebrity involvement in political campaigns, particularly when past controversies arise. As Rodgers shifts his focus back to the gridiron, he faces a pivotal season with the New York Jets. After a tumultuous previous season marred by injury, the quarterback must now contend with the pressures of returning to form while navigating the distractions of public life. His brief dalliance with politics, whether seen as a genuine pursuit or a publicity stunt, raises questions about the future of athletes in political roles and the scrutiny they face. In a parallel political narrative, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. continues to navigate his campaign against a backdrop of personal and public challenges. Recently, he spoke candidly about his past struggles with heroin addiction during a speech at the Illicit Drug Summit in Nashville. Kennedy emphasized how his experiences with addiction have shaped his policy perspectives, particularly regarding healthcare and community support. He advocated for a multifaceted approach to addressing America's drug crisis, which he believes must include both medical interventions and rekindling community connections. Kennedy's approach has not been without controversy. His views on various health issues, including vaccines and the food industry, have drawn criticism, and he faced hecklers during his recent speech, a sign of the polarized environment in which he operates. Nevertheless, his commitment to addressing the addiction crisis reflects a personal journey that resonates with many Americans struggling with similar issues. Moreover, Kennedy has recently announced a new Medicaid model aimed at improving access to transformative therapies for those with sickle cell disease. While this initiative has been met with some skepticism from protesters concerned about healthcare equity, it signifies Kennedy's ongoing efforts to reshape healthcare policy in a way that prioritizes innovation and patient outcomes. With 35 states already expressing interest in this new model, it reflects a significant step toward addressing long-standing healthcare disparities. As both Rogers and Kennedy navigate their respective paths, one in the realm of professional sports and the other in the political arena, their experiences underscore the complexities of public life in an age where personal beliefs and professional responsibilities often collide. The future remains uncertain for both figures, but their journeys continue to captivate and provoke discussion about the roles of celebrity and personal history in shaping public discourse. As the political landscape evolves, observers will undoubtedly keenly watch how these narratives unfold, with potential implications for both their careers and broader societal issues. In a significant policy shift, Attorney General Pam Bondi has revoked the Biden-era protections that shielded journalists from being compelled to testify or provide records in leak investigations. The announcement marks a return to a more aggressive stance on press inquiries that some argue undermines the independence of the media, a cornerstone of American democracy. In an internal memo circulated on April 25, Bondi articulated her rationale behind the decision, stating that federal employees leaking sensitive information compromises the Justice Department's ability to uphold the rule of law and protect national security. This conduct is illegal and wrong, and it must stop, she asserted, highlighting the department's commitment to pursuing those who divulge confidential information. The memo outlines a framework in which subpoenas, court orders, and search warrants can be employed to extract information from journalists, albeit with conditions intended to limit the intrusion on press activities. This policy reversal represents a stark contrast to the approach adopted during the Biden administration, when the Justice Department pledged to refrain from secretly seizing reporters' records except under very specific circumstances. Bondi's memo is reminiscent of tactics employed during both the Trump and Obama administrations, evoking concerns from press freedom advocates who argue that such measures can stifle investigative journalism. Bruce Brown, president of the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press, expressed alarm at the implications of Bondi's directive. He emphasized the importance of protecting journalists' sources, stating, "Some of the most consequential reporting in U.S. history, from Watergate to warrantless wiretapping after September 11, was made possible because reporters have been able to protect the identities of confidential sources." His remarks underscore the belief that the health of democracy is intertwined with the ability of the press to operate independently. Bondi's memo also reflects a larger narrative surrounding government transparency and accountability. By labeling leaks as potentially treasonous, Bondi has positioned the Justice Department's actions as necessary for national security, a justification that can polarize public opinion on the balance between security and press freedom. The Attorney General indicated that despite the heightened scrutiny of journalists' efforts would be made to limit the use of compulsory legal processes to obtain their records, asserting that the Justice Department still recognizes the value of a free press. The shift in policy comes amid increasing tensions between the Trump administration and the media, which Trump has frequently described as the enemy of the people. This environment has already seen significant changes, including increased control over the White House press pool and public disputes with major news organizations. Bondi's memo may further escalate these tensions, especially given that she cites previous leaks as justification for a more combative approach. As the landscape of press freedom continues to evolve under the current administration, the implications of this policy change will likely reverberate through the media industry and impact how journalists operate in an already challenging environment. Looking ahead, the balance between national security interests and the rights of the press will undoubtedly remain a contentious issue as advocates and policymakers navigate the complex dynamics of transparency, accountability, and freedom of expression. The future of press protections in the United States appears uncertain, and observers will continue to watch closely for further developments in this critical area. In an unprecedented move reflecting growing tensions within the U.S. political landscape, a group of 140 Yale alumni from the class of 1984 has publicly urged Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to re-evaluate his support for the Trump administration. The letter dated April 23, 2025 warns Bessent that his actions may unwittingly contribute to the erosion of American democracy and a potential slide into authoritarianism. This call to action comes amidst a backdrop of escalating concerns regarding the Trump administration's policies and their implications for civil liberties and constitutional governance. The signatories, a diverse mix of professionals including lawyers, CEOs, journalists, and educators, all share a common bond through their Ivy League education and a deep-seated concern for the future of democratic principles in the United States. They implore Bessent to be a voice of reason in what they describe as a period of insanity within the political arena. Scott, please take a moment to step back, look down the road of peace, and think hard about whether you want to be responsible for enabling the descent of America into fascism, the letter states. It points to various actions taken by the Trump administration that the authors argue undermine the very tenets of democracy, such as the alleged misuse of executive power and the targeting of dissenting voices within the media and government. Bessent, who has served in his current position since early 2025, responded to the letter with a statement that reflects both defiance and disappointment. He characterized the signatories as close-minded progressives and asserted that his role in the Trump administration is an honor. Being part of the Trump administration and serving the American people is the honor of my lifetime, he asserted, emphasizing his commitment to his duties despite the criticisms. The letter echoes historical precedents, notably a similar missive sent to former Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin in 2017, which called for his resignation following President Trump's controversial response to a white nationalist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. However, Bessent's classmates have opted not to demand his resignation, focusing instead on urging him to reflect on his role and the broader implications of current policies. As concerns mount about the potential for executive overreach, the letter lists specific grievances, including the administration's handling of tariffs, its relationships with influential figures like Elon Musk, and its enforcement of immigration laws. Some signatories express fear that unchecked executive power could lead to a more autocratic governance structure, a sentiment echoed by David Cowlick, a think tank director who signed the letter. He stressed the importance of standing up against what he perceives as authoritarian practices and the need for individuals in power to advocate for constitutional protections. The impact of this letter could resonate beyond the confines of Yale, reflecting a broader unease among citizens regarding the trajectory of American governance under the Trump administration. The call for accountability and the safeguarding of democratic norms could serve as a rallying point for those concerned about potential authoritarianism in the U.S. As this narrative unfolds, it remains to be seen how Bessent will respond to this pressure from his peers, and whether this public admonition will influence his actions within the administration. The implications of this dissent extend far beyond personal relationships forged in college. They touch on the fundamental values that underpin American democracy. As we look forward, the future of political engagement among past and present officials may very well hinge on how they navigate these turbulent waters. In a poignant ceremony held at the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, Abe Foxman, a Holocaust survivor and former head of the Anti-Defamation League, expressed deep concerns regarding the resurgence of anti-Semitism worldwide. Speaking on Yom HaShoah, a day of remembrance for Holocaust victims, Foxman highlighted alarming trends of hatred, particularly on college campuses and through social media platforms. He underscored how algorithms often promote extremist views, making anti-Semitism more accessible than ever. This is a danger not just for us Jews but for all of society. For all who care about democracy and individual freedom and dignity, he declared, urging collective action against such prejudices. Foxman's remarks were strikingly personal, revealing a lifetime of grappling with the memories of the Holocaust. "I wonder if the lessons of the Holocaust have been learned," he questioned, drawing parallels between past atrocities and current events. He referenced the historical context of Holocaust remembrance, evoking the complicity of those in power who, despite having knowledge of the ongoing genocide, failed to intervene. "Silence is a choice, and choices always have consequences," he stated, recalling the Polish nanny who risked her life to save him from certain death. The ceremony also featured Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who connected recent acts of violence, including the October 7 attacks, to the hatred that fueled the Holocaust. Lutnick pledged that institutions perpetuating anti-Semitism would face consequences, asserting that the government would withdraw support from colleges that tolerate such ideologies. "America is great because we believe in freedom, we believe in justice, and we believe in truth," he proclaimed, stressing the need for a united front against hate. However, the reception to Lutnick's remarks was less enthusiastic compared to Foxman's heartfelt delivery. While Foxman's call for vigilance against anti-Semitism resonated strongly with attendees, culminating in a standing ovation, Lutnick's statements garnered only a lukewarm response, suggesting a disconnect between political rhetoric and the emotional weight of personal narratives. As anti-Semitism continues to rise globally, Foxman and Lutnick's speeches serve as a reminder of the importance of vigilance and action. The challenges posed by modern technology and social media complicate efforts to combat hate, making it imperative for society to confront these issues head-on. Both speakers emphasized that the fight against anti-Semitism is not solely a Jewish concern but one that affects the broader fabric of democracy and human rights. Looking ahead, the need for continued dialogue and proactive measures against discrimination is more crucial than ever. As the world grapples with growing intolerance, the legacies of survivors like Foxman must not be forgotten. Their experiences and warnings serve as vital lessons in the ongoing struggle against hatred, reminding us all that the past must inform our present and future actions.